Hot 6 GSL Season 2 Final Classic vs. Su.
That is a quick drone scout.
Yeah, that's a very quick drone scout.
Kind of interesting. Sometimes you drone scout to see if they're going for that quick forge, so that you can go hatch first and stuff. And I think he is going to be going probably double hatch before pool, because this drone scout going to be able to get up there and see that it's a gateway expand. And against a gateway expand, you can very safely take double hatch.
That drone is about to get inside the base. A lot on the line. If you're just now joining us, this is Su's third time in a GSL CODIS Finals, third time in a row. And he's lost previously. He's gotten second place. So let's see if he can actually get a first place right now. It is 2-2. The winner is going to end up with a 3-2 lead here and be 1 win away from that 4-2 or maybe 4-3 victory marker that will allow him to be the champion.
Look at this build that we're seeing. This is very interesting. It looks like he wanted to go one gateway into Nexus, but he threw up a second pylon, presumably because this drone is delaying his Nexus and he wants to continue to make probes. In fact, he started his ult there for a second, but that was just because he was afraid there might be a hatch put down there. But kind of cool and interesting build there from Classic. It's pretty safe and pretty economical.
This is one of these moments where you definitely see they're both teammates.
Oh, for sure.
The weirdness of the builds.
The yellow shirts.
The matching shoes.
Yeah. So embarrassing.
Now, the extractor, you probably will cancel that in a second here. Or he might let it finish. We'll see.
Yeah, you could.
Okay, he lets it finish.
There's off one gas. It's going to take a long time to get enough gas to get out your Stalker, your Mothership Core, and your Warp Gate research.
It's very true.
And that's actually a big pain because you really want all three of those very quickly.
And, of course, there's the option for Zerg to then be aggressive.
Sure, yeah.
With that, because the lack of gas there for Protoss means potentially the lack of defense, at least mobile defense. I mean, you could have some static defense, but then it's your static defense against their map control army.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He'd have to have a very tight build to do that, and he is mining gas, which this is a pretty early gas, especially against a build like this. But you know what we could see out of Classic here? Now, he's going to add his second gas over here, but off of one gas, there are some very strong Warp Gate strategies that you can pull off.
That's true. A lot of Zealots and Stalkers.
Yeah, Zealot and Stalker-based 4 gates, and those are... Like, for instance, anyone that watches a lot of international StarCraft has seen San do this just countless times, and it's brutally powerful if you've practiced it very well and know the ins and outs of it.
All right, the third hatch is on the way. And let's see. We have 2 more gates, Artosis. That's there at the entrance. Doesn't mean that he's going to be necessarily aggressive just yet.
Yeah.
It's also just as much there to make units as it is to have to develop a wall so that you're safe.
And with speed on the way, it's really important to have a wall. If you don't wall in to get speed, you may just randomly die. And Protoss is so much about protecting your valuable stuff and protecting yourself while you're weak with things like walls.
And I love this. Look at that Ling Scout. I mean, talk about thorough.
Yeah, seriously. That Ling is going on a journey tasteless.
It's smart, though. I mean, if there's anything hidden on the map, he is going to find it.
Well, that's one of the most important things as Zerg. And in fact, anytime we have a brand new map pop out, you'll notice a lot more proxies because Zergs don't know these patterns. It's actually kind of overwhelming on a new map to scout every nook and cranny. It really is overwhelming. The longer you play in the map, eventually,
you're like, there's a little lip over here on this cliff. They like to hide stuff. Sometimes they put it actually behind this tree up here at the top of the map. But yeah, the more maps developed, as Artosis was saying, the more pathways you find the Lings going down to check everything, which usually means the harder it is for the Protoss to effectively surprise the Zerg, at least with anything built outside of their base. That's why I was a little bit surprised to see Classic do that one build in game number 1. Where I'm thinking, well, I mean, this is a place that
Zerg's check.
You would check, yeah. And in fact, it was so close to where the Overlords were, the Overlord just happened to flip right over there.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at how Classic is developing in this game, it looks like this is the opening from CJ Sora from a while back. where you're focusing on sentries, getting some upgrades, and going into a really quick third. And as we can see, like 745 third base, pretty solid. Where will he go from here? I would imagine he's going to go Twilight and blink in +2. But you have a lot of options with this because you can make your hallucinations and really scout out what Zerg is doing and tailor it to that. Oh god, this might even be a warp gate attack, possibly. You just warp in 3 more sentries. That makes 9.
I think you might cancel the gate, or the Nexus, excuse me?
I don't think so. I think you keep it as a placeholder if nothing else.
Okay. Because it's been a while since we've seen that strat.
Well, it looks like he is going to go into +2 blink, which is, it's definitely the right choice. And with those 9 sentries, the attack will be insane. This is just a poke, though. He's not expecting to do a lot with this.
Keep the Zerg from making more drones, for instance, making his mine crawlers maybe a little bit sooner than they would have wanted to. Oh, not canceled.
Well, I guess it, you know, by leaving that, it might force him into making more units because you're like, oh, the Protoss is for real here, I guess. Probably should have canceled, though. Oh, well. A lot of links were made.
Yeah, +1 almost done. Twilight cancel is now finished.
Hydra range and Hydras, as well as these spines, definitely both things that can help out a lot against a +2 Blink Stalker, but sitting on 3 bases, he's going to have to really crush it when it comes.
Let's see if he can actually hold on here. He's going to be chronoing out that Blink. He does have the robotic facility there because he does need observers and a warp prism.
Yeah, a prism would be quite nice with this, but it definitely kind of slows down if you want to do like a very strong, like go up to a good 7 or 8 gate Blink Stalker to rally into this. The Robo slows that down quite a bit, so not quite as like, I don't want to call any 3 base build with a bunch of upgrades all in, but less aggressive, I guess, with that Robo.
A little bit more conservative then.
Yeah,
the roaches and lings, or excuse me, hydras and lings out here on the map, prodding around. And we have Blink about 3/4 of the way done, so same with +2. And the Spire starting now. What I'm wondering is if Protoss gets aggressive, is he going to force units to be made that are not Spire units before that Spire finishes? Or is Su going to stick to his guns and hold on to his larva there?
That's a good question. We'll see about that in a moment. Now, he is getting a Warp Prism, as you were saying, Tasis. We'll see if he can get some harassment done. But Su is taking his 4th and his 5th base right now. So he's got a pretty solid army, double expanding. He's going to have the Spire against a Classic with a very strong standing army, but who's also teching up at the moment. So no one is really taking a position where they're absolutely trying to kill their opponents. Both of them are trying to get into a slightly stronger later game.
And the Protoss now moves out. The Lings and Hydras are just backing up. Got 11 more Hydras about to finish, and the Spire about to be done. Also, 1,000 gas banked up.
This is a really strong army, man.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And also, the angle that he's coming up here at.
Whoa.
He could actually block off. Oh.
The spines walked away. That's kind of weird, but oh man, he's actually killing a lot right now. Those Zerglings actually get a pretty good hit.
Whoa. Too many sentries being killed off here.
Definitely a little bit of a miss there. Su only engaging with a chunk of his army for a moment, and now he's made a lot more. This is where you turn around as Classic. He has no warping point. He lost a lot of sentries. He used up a lot of energy. He doesn't have his mothership core.
Yeah, he's warping into the main here, but this isn't going to work either.
Yeah.
And from here, there's no mothership core with that army?
Yeah, without the mothership core, how are you getting out of here? You don't have enough sentries to make your way all the way home. And he doesn't have warp-ins with it. So, like, this army is a standing army. The strength of Protoss attacks like this is to be able to warp in. So he kills that base, which is really nice, and Su does back off.
Yeah, he's going to have to go up. Classic does back off as well, going up through the upper right area.
Well, it's a good thing he got out of there. This was, like, very important. If Su had just continued on Ling Hydra that entire time and crushed that group of units, that would have been, like, really good for Su. Whereas Classic, he's got a strong army still, and he killed a base, so that's very important.
A dozen mutas are about to be out here.
Yeah.
And, you know, with this army out here in the middle of the map, it's possible that Harass could take out a lot of probes. I mean, Protoss might be stuck on 3 bases for a little while here. Taking out one of Zerg's bases is good, but if Su just continues to stay ahead by 1 to 2 bases, Classic's going to be in a lot of trouble. Classic now out again into Sue's territory, and a Zealot warping over here. So there's going to be 2 attacks going on inside Sue's area. Meanwhile, okay, he is going to back up. I was going to say Sue might actually attack into Classic's third, but he's not.
Yeah, it looks like these Zealots starting to do some damage. In the meantime, the main army is over near that third base, getting a warp and pylon very smartly. And Sue, hemming and hawing completely, went all the way up the left side with Mutas and Hydras, walked back into the middle, and now turned around to go back towards the natural. Some weird choices coming out of him here on how he wants to move around.
All right, the Stalkers coming up now. And you can see the Hydras are having to back up. And, okay, nice defense here from Classic, but keep in mind, Sue's still operating just fine back in his own base. I mean, Classic is not doing the damage right now that he needs to do. Also, a lot of minerals here for Classic. I mean, not spending his money, period. I mean, look at this. He has a supply. He's at 160 of 190. He's got, well, for a second there, yeah, okay, now again, $2 grand in minerals plus, 1.2 grand in gas. Classic, I mean, is scatterbrained right now. He's just not producing, man.
Yeah,
it's really alarming, actually.
He have a much bigger standing army at the moment, so a little bit of a mistake there. He's starting to make a lot of cannons.
I can't believe he's not been producing. Okay, now he's lost some pylons, so he's down again. But
yeah,
that was pretty shocking there. Well, anyways, Classic comes down and hits this base.
He has so many Stalkers, 47 Stalkers right now, and that's with a little bit of backup with the Colossus and some Sentries.
You got to think with really good blink control, I mean, how much can you kill off? A lot, I would say.
47 Stalkers are not going to die anytime soon.
Yeah, especially if you just stay on top of them and babysit them. Now we've seen well, hold on. The Zealots are going to come over here and try to get this army out of position. Looks like they're going to get caught by the Mutas. But meanwhile, I mean, this Classic Stalker Death Ball.
Sue's out of position a little bit once again as well. And you see him, once again, he's like making a choice. He's going towards the natural, then he turns and goes right suddenly. His Muta's just trying to play cleanup. Loses another hatch, it looks like. Okay,
he needs to keep this army together, though.
He's like barely staying on 3 bases right now, Tasteless.
Well, again, he has to keep this army together. There it is, a blink on top! And Sue has to back up. Sue now flying southbound. Classic regrouping here, but again, 3 base versus 3 base, excuse me. I believe the 4th just started down there.
Yeah, he just started
at the would-be 3rd.
But I mean, this is definitely an advantage right now for Classic, right? He's got so many Stalkers. He needs to spend his money, though. He's like,
yeah.
I would love to see him just get a couple Archons.
There we go.
38 Mutas out. There you go. That's exactly what he needs.
Okay, now this is a lot here from Sue, but there's so many Stalkers here. I mean, you got to look at the Blink Micro right now. The Colossus is still doing a lot of damage. Only now the Muta's hitting the Colossus, but that might be too late. Now, don't forget, there are Archons that are going to be coming up here momentarily. Again, if he just keeps blinking, if he just keeps focusing on his army, this is going to thin out. Here come the Archons now.
Yeah, he's got to get those Archons up there to help out. Of course, Archon's not as good against Hydras. Would have been a lot better a little bit earlier in this battle. But he's still got a ton of money. And that means he can make.
I don't know what Classic Steel is.
This is actually like our Tosis macro that we're watching.
What confuses me about it is there's nothing particularly tricky about using warp rates to macro out, especially in this phase of the game. Usually, even if you're not playing that well, you burn out all your cash. You know, just reloading your army and then GG.
All right.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess he already had enough of a lead. It was 3 base. Sue's economy is in shambles. Classic, again, he won that last game, but he's looking a little bit bumpy here. Macro a little bit off. Some of his decision-making back there was a little bit off. He didn't always have the Stalkers together. He's got this. He seems to have figured Sue's playstyle out.
Well,
but at the same time, there's moments where I'm saying, oh man, Sue, you might be able to pull this one off.
Well, until he made those Mutas, that was like the anti-timing for Mutas. Your opponent is focusing only on Blink Stalkers.
Right.
His army is across the map with a depleted sentry count and no Mothership Core. And it's going after one of your bases.
Artosis.
What you do is you reload on Hydras and Lings and you kill it. You don't make 12 Mutas.
Artosis, you realize if Classic wins this next game, this is Sue's 3rd time in the finals, his 3rd time, and he does not win.
That's rough. He's gonna like people are gonna talk about it forever, man. Just like it was with Marine King, Stork, and of course Yellow, the original second placer.
Yeah. Sue's going to have to adapt a little bit better to how Classic's playing. Classic's had some bumpy moments, but he is coming out on top. Two teammates against one teammate against another teammate make for some very interesting games. We're going to take a short little break. When we come back, we're going to go to game number 6 here between Sue and